Hello everyone. So in this video is about continuous delivery, continuous integration, or we can also say CI/CD pipelines. So this is a conceptual framework for CI/CD. Um, so as a DevOps engineer, you need to understand like what CI/CD pipeline or CI/CD framework actually stands for. So we got various stages like our agile development environment. So let's start with a planning phase at one. So in planning we do our software design and stuff. Coding we do our where we write the code, and the build process is somewhere like where we compile our code. The test process is the place that where we test the code, like for example it could be a unit test, it could be other different sort of tests, and then after that we go for the released, and then we release the package that we have generated uh, to a certain repository. Like it could be a Docker image, it could be different APK package for like Android development. So it could be different for release. It depends upon the tool that you are making, depend upon the software that you are using. Different for Python, different for Java or something like that, right? And then finally the deployment process. So deployment process is the state where we actually put our software into a production environment or somewhere in the server that everyone can use. The operate and monitoring section would be more like a getting the insights of the software. So in this state we actually manage like how do we actually it's like understanding the state of the running software and monitoring like how things are working, if the performance is high or low, something like that. So this is actually the complete CI/CD framework. There are different tools that we use during the CI/CD setup. So we could use Jira and Confluence for planning. We can use GitHub or GitLab to store our code. We can use Gradle or Webpack to build our code for depending upon the software that we are using. Like for Python it could be different. For Node it could be like npm something like that. For testing, so it also depends upon like what kind of software that we are building. So for Python it could be a PyTest or something like that. Release, it could be Jenkins, build guide. It could also be different CI/CD pipelines from GitLab or GitHub, so they also support those. And in this demonstration, we are going to go for a GitHub Actions. So GitHub Action is a CI/CD pipeline that we're going to deploy. And then deploy, operate, monitor. So we got different tools over here that we can use for different states, right? So in this lab, we are going to focus on let's say starting from the code, and then build, test, release, and deploy. So we are not gonna go dive into operation, monitor, and plan, but only for code, build, test, release, and deploy. So that's our plan. So this is how GitHub Actions works. We got our code, we put it in Git, and then the GitHub Actions starts. So there are different things that we can do in GitHub Actions. So generally, our CI/CD pipeline consists of these following things. We check it out, we set up the environments depending upon our production or dev environment or staging environment. And after that we can do different sort of a lint and test. So linting is something that we are going to do in our demonstration, and test something like a unit test or different various other testing stuff that we can do. And then finally we can build our application and then deploy it in our server. The production side would be our EC2 machines. So in our case, we are going to use EC2 and deploy our application over there. So this is the example for APK like Android development. So we can follow the same process and ultimately generate an APK package that we can install in our Android devices, right? So yeah, so let's start with the demonstration now. I'll just go through the runbook so that it will be easier for us to demonstrate, as well as for you guys to stay with the flow. So the first thing is required, like we need to have EC2 machines up and running, and we need to create a key pair PM file, and we need to allow various port numbers like 20, 80, and 3000, and then launch an instance. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is to launch an instance to create our actual server. So go to our EC2 machine, and I'm going to create a launch instance. So for this demo, I'm going to launch an instance with operating system of Amazon Linux by default. The name of the instance would be let's see, CI CD GitHub Actions. So this is just the name of our instance, and apart from that, everything should be default. Yeah, the important thing is we need to select a key pair for this demonstration. If you already got one, then you can just select from it, or you can just create a new one. So I'm just going to say CI CD GitHub Actions. It's kind of slow right now. What happened? Okay, create it. So once it is created, you will have the file downloaded over here. We will get back to this in a moment. So in the networking section, make sure you have enabled public IP address. If it is not enabled by default, then go to edit and enable it. As for the security group, we will set it up later on, but for now SSH is good enough. And so what you can do is, once that is done, so these are the tools that we need to install in our server. So we need to install Node.js, and we need to install Git, we need to install npm, etc. Right? So with this we can actually start our server. Like our server requires, or our software requires, all of these things to work. So yeah, you can just copy and paste it over here in the user data, but for this demo purpose, I'm just gonna paste it in the terminal itself, so you can see what's happened. So once the instance is up and running, yeah, so it is running state. You can just click on connect. You can also connect via SSH like this, but yeah, this is good enough for now. So I'll just copy these commands over here and paste it out in our terminal. And then we can just press enter. So this will start installing all of these in our server. So as you can see, it starts to update. So let's just go through this command once again. So we are installing Node.js. So yeah, we are installing the Node.js, and then Git. We are also installing a tool called PM2 for server startup. And these are some of the things that we are going to do, like change, create a directory and change the ownership of that particular directory. Okay, so while this is being installed, so yeah, everything is installed. That was quite fast. So what now we have to go to our GitHub. So I will be providing this GitHub link to all of you guys. Let me just the HTTPS is good enough, so I'll just put it over here. So you can just click on this GitHub link to open this one, and then so I'll just start from the beginning. Okay, so once you copy the HTTPS, open your terminal. So I'm just going to open my VS Code right now, and then so this is my current folder, and the repository name is GitHub CI/CD, and that's GitHub. So let's just git clone this and paste the command. If you see that we got CI/CD GitHub, let's go to CI/CD GitHub and open that in VS Code. So we got our repository file that I just downloaded, and inside that we can see various folders, files. So this is a Node.js application, and we got different API exposed, like health API, info API, and we got our package station folder as well. And so for public, we only got the index.html file. So this is a pretty simple application, right? So let's try to run this locally. To run this locally, we can run command npm run dev. So it says node1 is not found, so we first need to install all of these things. Run npm install. Just wait for a while. So once all of this is installed, you can see there is a folder called node modules, and everything is installed that we need. Npm run dev. So yeah, it starts the server in 3000 port. So let's just try to see if it is up and running. Open a new tab, use localhost, and you can do 3000. So this is the application that we got, right? And you can even see different API calls over here, health info, etc. Okay, so we can verify that this is running. Let me just open a new terminal on the side. Okay, let's continue with this stuff. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is create a new repository in GitHub. So the one that I just did was my own repository, and I copied. But in order to demonstrate this, it's better that you create your own repository and test it on yourself. So that would be more fruitful. So if I go to my GitHub and let's try to create a new one and actually push the code that we got in our local machine. So I'm just gonna create a new repository, new one, and I can name it CI/CD GitHub Actions. So this is a new repository. It's public. It's okay. Let's create a repository. So this particular repository that we downloaded, if you just go there and do ls-li, so you will see a git folder over here. So this git folder establishes a connection between this repository and the old repository that I got, right? So CI/CD GitHub is the old repository. So I can just delete this git repository and it will break the connection. So for that, rm maybe you can do -rf and git repository. Yeah, so this is no longer a git repository, or this is no longer connected to the old repository. So in order to establish a connection between the new repository that I created, CI/CD GitHub Actions, you can just copy all of these things and paste it in the terminal. So for that, what you can do first is, so even after, and now you can also see like my terminal is not at first it was showing git main like this, right? And after I remove that, it doesn't show anything. So this is not a git repository now. So what I'm going to do first is do git init. So this will initialize as a git repository, and then paste this command from the second one over here. So what this does is it actually links the repository in local to the repository in remote, that is CI/CD GitHub Actions. Just enter this, and before you push it, make sure you do git add, git commit, and this could be the initial phase, right? So yeah, init, and then git push. You can at first you need to push like this. So just copy this command, push it over here, and yeah, this will go to our new repository now. So you can see we got it over here. Okay, now let's follow with our runbook. So once the repository is created, so you need to now set up the GitHub secrets. So as we are trying to set up the CI/CD pipeline in such a way that we need to run the CI/CD pipeline in GitHub Actions, and that CI/CD pipeline will deploy stuff into our EC2 machines, right? So we need to give access to the EC2 machines to our GitHub Actions. So for that, we need to go to settings in our GitHub and go to our secret and variables and actions. So you will see these two. Now we need to put some secret repository set secrets over here. Now just create one. The first repository secret that we need to put is EC2 host. Just copy this particular. Make sure you don't change any letter, because this is written in our pipeline code as well. I will show you in a little bit. So you just need to put in this one our public IP address. This one. Copy the public IP address. Go to our CI/CD, and yeah, put the IP address over here. And I also need to put a different secret. The second one is EC2 SSH key. Just copy this one and put it over here. So for the value of this SSH key, you remember we downloaded the PEM file, right? So open this PEM file. It was on download. So this is the PEM file. I will try to open this with terminal. So open with a terminal, and then just do cat. We got our CI/CD GitHub Actions. Yeah. So you got this particular let me just do this once again. Yeah. So just copy this PIM file code. This is our SSH key, and paste it over here. So make sure you paste it all the way to end RSA private key from beginning RSA private key. Make sure that, okay, and add a secret. So by adding this, we are allowing our GitHub Actions to SSH into the EC2 machines. So we also use this same key for SSH, right? And after SSH, we can automate a lot of different things over there. So this setup is good enough for now. So go to, and after that, we need to create this workflow file. So if you have downloaded from the repository that I just gave you, it should already have a GitHub folder and a workflow folder, and inside that it should have deploy.yaml. So this is the file that we actually need to create as per this file. So this is the main GitHub action or CI/CD code that we got, right? Deploy.yaml. So let's go through this once to understand what happens in our CI/CD pipeline. So the first thing it says is like this should run when we push into our main branch. So whenever we push the code to main branch, this pipeline will run. And it also so the job starts. So now the jobs means like these are the tasks that the pipeline needs to be done. Okay, so pipeline will run these particular tasks. So where does it run it? It run it in certain servers, and for now it is a default GitHub server, and the GitHub server would have the operating system Ubuntu Linux. So if you want to have different operating system in our runner, so it is called a GitHub runner, then you can change this one, but for now Ubuntu is good enough for us. And then there are a few steps in this particular job, the test job. The first thing is checkout. So the checkout, so this particular line of a command, it actually copy all of our GitHub content and put it in the runner that we are currently running on. Okay, and then the second thing that it does is it installs Node.js on our runner, and then it installs the Node.js dependency. It performs the lint. So what is the lint we are talking here about? So if you go to our index.html, if you go to our app.js, so there is this one line over here. If I just uncomment this, so this is a variable that is not being used in this entire application. Okay, so when I run my lint command, that is npm test npm run lint, so this npm run lint will be activated from over here, and it runs this particular script. So if I just run this command, and it says there is a problem in the code, right? So the linting software or linting tool is something that actually checks your code structure, and if there is something that is not in a good practice, then it shows us an error. So it says this particular variable is not being used, so why do you even have this variable, right? So the lint is warning us. It says that you don't have to set this variable unless you are using it. So let me just just comment it, and if I again run the lint, so it doesn't show the error anymore. So let's just test it out once. Okay, so that's the lint that we are trying to do. If you go to the deploy.yaml again, so it will perform a lint operation and it will see if the code is good or not. If it is not, then it shows the error. And the second phase is deploy phase. So this is a CI pipeline, the first one, and the second one can be represented as CD. Okay, we are deploying stuff. The test needs to be completed before we deploy. So every test, like you can also run like npm test. So it is for unit testing. We can also run lint. We can also run various other different tests that we want to run. So if the test case pass, then only we are deploying. Otherwise, we cannot deploy this. Okay. So the deploy stuff, what it does is it takes the main branch. As you can see, it again check out the main branch, and then there is something called SSH action. So this enables us to connect to EC2 instance, the runner that we are running on, right? So we are running on Ubuntu server that is inside the GitHub Actions, and then we are particularly running this server, and then we are trying to connect this particular server to our EC2 machines. How are we connecting it? We are connecting it via our IP address and our SSH key. So you can see we can import the SSH key and EC2 host name, that is our IP address, through secrets.ec2 SSH key. So that's the particular key that we have created in our secrets, right? So if you go to actions, so you can see there is two secrets. So it's going to use the value of this to connect to our EC2 machines. So this is how you put the secrets. You are not allowed to put the secrets or any sort of important stuff inside the code directly. So yeah, this is the way to do it. Once everything is done, so once this is done, it tries to connect to the EC2 machine. So inside the EC2 machine, it runs various commands that helps to start a server or like deploy it. Okay, so what it does, it went to the EC2 server, it creates /var www.cicd lab. This is the folder that it's going to create, and then inside this folder it's gonna get cloned all of these things, right? So once it is cloned, so it actually trying to clone the actual code that we have in the GitHub Actions, and then once it is cloned, then it starts the PM2 server over there. So like that, it makes sure the server is up and running. That's all. Okay, so yeah, I have a lint issue. Let me just put it as it is, and then just lint issue will be there. So I'm just gonna commit this, and we can test that in action. Okay, so once that is done, if you go to actions, so you can see it starts the pipeline. So pipeline will be start only when you put this deploy YAML file within the .github and workflows. Okay, so this should be matched exactly. It should be .github, and inside that it should be workflows, and inside that the file should be there. The file name can be anything, but these two folder names should be exactly this. So let's click on the pipeline and see what's happening. So it says the test fails. Let's see what fails over here. So as you can see, the lint fails now because unused variable, etc., right? Because we just put an unused variable over there. So there were two tests run, the one that we put initially. Let's see if, yeah, so in this case the test was passed because we didn't put anything that lint has an issue. So let me just fix that again. If you go to our app.js and comment this line, so our lint shouldn't say any error over there. So it's like checking, so our lint actually checks the code structure, code format, code stuff, and ensures like our code is good. So if we are defining a variable that is not used, then code is bad. Okay, so I'm just gonna run this again. Now let's say lint fix, commit, save. Okay, so this should fix the lint. If you go to our GitHub Actions again, it will run the new pipeline. So as you can see, the commit message is over here, commit ID is over here. It's running the test. So all of these things are done as definition we did in our deployed YAML file. So the test section will have Node.js installed. It will have npm install dependency and npm run lint. So you can see install dependency, lint, Node.js installed, everything is done. Now the second step would be deploy. Now the deploy will run only if the EC2 machines only if the test pass. Now deploy is also run. So let's see what the deploy does. So deploy does few things. As I said, it can establish a connection with our EC2 machines with SSH. So this is established connection done. The checkout, so it actually goes to our GitHub code. It goes to our EC2 machines, and within the EC2 machines it creates various folders like var www.cicd lab, and it went inside the folder, and it runs CI/CD GitHub Actions. So it clones our repository over there and put it inside. So all of these things, right? Ultimately it ran successfully. So if you go to our EC2 machines, so this is our EC2 machine, right? And cd var www whatever CI/CD lab. So you can see this folder has been created. I didn't create it from over here because our pipeline did. So pipeline created this folder, and if you put ls, you can see within this folder there is a repository or the code that we have in GitHub, right? So our GitHub Actions did all of these things. It even start the server. So to check if the server is up and running, you can go here, and let's see, there should be a command that to check. I'm sure I put it somewhere over here. This is for local testing. Yeah, we already did local testing. Commit push, monitoring the deployment. Yeah, so let's see if we can run this command in terminal. Paste it over here, enter. So you can see if we run this command, it gives us status healthy. So that means our server is up and running. Now if you go to our EC2 instance, and we know that our server is running on 3000 port number. So just copy this, open the terminal, paste it, and put 3000. So this is an error probably. Yeah, it's not loading up because we know our EC2 instance have a security called security group, and it doesn't allow the port number 30 to be open by default. So we need to open it. Add a rule, port number should be 3000, and it should be from everywhere, and let's change it. Okay, now we can access the 3000 port in our EC2 machine. So if you go there, and let's try to run this again. Okay, our app is up and running from our EC2 machine, right? That's all. So this is how we actually run our CI/CD pipeline to install or continuously deploy stuff. So let's try this out one again. So we got our CI/CD lab simple app application, right? Let's go to code, and it should be somewhere in our HTML file. So as you can see, CI/CD lab simple web application. So this is the code that is being deployed, right? Let me just change this a little bit. CI/CD lab simple web application using GitHub Actions as a CI/CD pipeline. So I'm just going to save this. Now see, I save it in my local machine. I'm just going to commit it. I'm just going to say update index HTML, and then commit it, set the change, and I'm going to push this in my GitHub Action. I'm going to push it in my GitHub, right? So I just push it in GitHub. Now GitHub, inside the GitHub, if you go to GitHub, the actions will start now. You can see update index HTML. So it does all the testing stuff. So this is a continuous integration status, like we are continuous, so we don't have to do anything, right? We just push the code and it automatically run different test lints, etc. And the deployment phase is started. So it establishes a connection with SSH, it goes and deploy to EC2 machine, and just give it a time. So yeah, successfully done and completed. So deploy is completed as well. So if you go to our server, let's see if this is the right one. Yeah, we got IP address and port number. And if you run this again, let me just refresh it once. Okay, it was a simple error actually. So I did put it in a title, but title is not shown over there, right? We should have put that not in a title, but instead in a, like this over here in the h1 tag, not a title. Okay, so title would only change the title section of the URL. So yeah, let me just post this once again. Over here, index update again, comment it, change. Okay, so the title section doesn't actually show the changes in the UI, it only shows the changes in the like your tab title. So make sure you change over here as well, like HTML, or maybe like you can change anything over here. So let's just give it some time for it to deploy. If you go to GitHub Actions, so yeah, it's gonna take some time. So this is done. Go to deploy. Deploy is starting. Okay, establish a connection, and then deploy to EC2. Go to EC2. So it again runs. So it pulls the GitHub. Like if we already have the repository, then it only pulls the main. It only pulls the main branch. Everything is deployed. Everything is done. So if you go to our EC2 instance, it is, yeah, and then open the address. Make sure you put your port number like 3000 and remove the HTTPS over here. Now you can see the change is done. So just by changing the code and then we commit it to our GitHub, it automatically changes everything to the server as well. So this is how the continuous CI/CD pipelines works. This is how you do it in your GitHub Actions. So yeah, that's all for this lab. Thank you very much.